Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 1 of my podcast. I'm your host, Kyung Lee. If you stutter or want to learn more about stuttering, this podcast is for you. I'm going to use this episode to share a little about me and the podcast, but there will be guest speakers every episode after this, so stay tuned. My name is Kyung Lee, and I live in Southern California. I'm currently 16 years old and a junior in high school. I started to stutter when I was about 3. My stutter got a little better in around 9th grade, but it hasn't completely gone away. I'm also bilingual. I speak Korean almost fluently, and I definitely stutter more when I speak Korean. If you're not quite sure on what stuttering is a speech disorder that causes people who stutter to involuntarily affect their speech. Roughly 3 million people in America stutter. Stuttering is different for everyone, but most people experience one or a mix of these types. Some people repeat syllables or sounds in a word. For example, this might sound like, I ate a banana. Some experience what is called blocking, which is when they are unable to speak at all. This commonly happens to me, and it might sound like, I ate a banana. People may also change their wording to avoid stuttering, such as, I ate a piece of fruit. Still, you might not even know that a person has a stutter. Chances are, though, you probably know someone who stutters. Stuttering often starts as a child, and some people grow out of it, and some people don't. The exact cause of stuttering is still unknown, but genetics sometimes plays a role. My dad actually stutters a little. Stuttering has nothing to do with someone's intelligence or social skills. If available, speech therapy is recommended for people who stutter, especially children. One common misconception of speech therapists and pathologists is that they help someone get rid of their stutter. A cure for stuttering is also unknown. Instead of making the stutter disappear, speech therapists help people gain some control over their speech, as well as let them know that it's okay to stutter. It doesn't define them as a person, nor does it hinder them from doing anything in their life. For the vast majority of my life, I was really ashamed of stuttering and didn't want anyone to know that I had one. I spent my whole life outside my home trying to hide my stutter, and reading out loud in class was a nightmare to me. I dreaded the awkward pauses of silence between conversations when I would be blocking in front of someone. Also, I tend to talk fast, so combined with my stutter, it was hard for people to understand me sometimes. However, as I got older, I truly realized stuttering was a part of who I was. At a certain point, I would ask myself, if I was able to make my stutter go away, would I want it to? And I realized I didn't really know the answer to that question. Stuttering made me realize that I shouldn't take for granted being able to turn the thoughts in my head to words that I can speak. It also made me more compelled to be kind to people when something I didn't understand was happening in front of me. These experiences, combined with many others, shaped a part of who I am, and I can't imagine what I would be like if this had never happened to me. Because I stuttered, I was able to meet some really great people like my speech pathologist and other people at stuttering conferences, and I was able to connect with other classmates that stuttered. A part of why I wanted to start this podcast was the surge in mental health awareness in recent years. It was relieving and consoling to see schools, communities, and the media take more notice in mental health, especially in teens. Although mental health disorders and stuttering are slightly different topics, I couldn't help noticing that stuttering still stayed practically unspoken in the public after all this time. In future episodes, I want to cover a lot of topics, especially stuttering in teens. With stories, advice, and information from people that stutter and from professionals in the field as guests on the podcast, I want to spread the word about stuttering and how it's okay to stutter. This is the first time I've ever hosted a podcast, so this is pretty new to me. Thank you for listening to episode 1. I'm going to do my best to make this as enjoyable and informational as possible, so please subscribe or follow and give my next episode a listen.